honored po. After 450 years ng history ng Manila, nagkaroon na rin po ng babae. Na, thank you sa aking yorme na pinagkatiwala niya po sa akin na kaya ko po. Because if naman pag babae, ay hindi ka malambot ka, hindi. Siguro mararamdaman na nila ngayon yung pagmamahal ng isang mother.
On her first 100 days in office, Lacuna pledged to continue existing programs for housing and health-related matters. Lacuna says she will continue to seek guidance from Moreno.
He will always be my mentor.
With most eyes on national post these elections, it is easy to overlook the governance issues at the local level. Will the newcomers continue the work of their previous leaders or have their own way in solving these issues? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. We will be joined by our guests and the other chiefs when we return. Welcome to this weekend edition of The Chiefs. I'm Ed Lingao. Also with us is Ana Marie Paminton of the Philippine Star and Ana Marie Paminton of the Philippine Star. Ami, tayong dalawa lang ngayong gabi.
Oo nga.
Alam mo kung bakit?
Bakit daw?
Ha? May UAAP kasi ngayong gabi.
Oo nga eh. Yay! Bago ang lahat. We
Ano?
won for the first time in 36 years.
Okay, I will try to relate. Sige, UP ako pero sige. I have other things in mind.
36
Sige.
years. Oh, kakaida dyan ng people power.
Oo nga, anniversary ng People Power. Okay. Anyway, well, we should go on. We should move on to our guest na. Of
Yes.
course, it is a weekend coming up, so I'm sure that everybody also wants to have their Friday night. So let's bring in, joining us tonight, incoming Manila City Mayor Honey Lacuna. Magandang gabi po, Mayor, and welcome to the Chiefs.
Good evening, Mayor.
Magandang gabi po sa inyong dalawa.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. Ma'am, A bit of a background. I do remember at least briefly covering your father as a vice mayor in Manila. Well, of course, he was a vice mayor for a long time. But at the same time, it's also notable that in you running for the mayorship and you winning, you also beat the sons of two former mayors. First question from me is, how do you think you did it? How did you break the cycle?
Well, most probably because the people of Manila saw yung merong continuity na ine-expect nila from the programs and projects that we started or I started with Yorme Isko. So they're expecting that from me. And probably because my opponents have been doing the same old negative kind of approach to campaigning. So siguro ayaw ng mga tao noon, yung the usual na paninira. They want to hear something that we could do for the city, and that's what I did. So siguro yun po yung pinaka-edge ko sa kanilang dalawa.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apart from continuing the programs of Mayor Isko, what are your priorities once you take over? Besides being a woman, you're also a doctor, and we still have this pandemic, ano? Ano po yung mga prioridad ninyo?
Definitely po, tutuon ko po yung mga sa health programs po ng city. Lalong-lalo na po, meron po tayong bagong ospital ng Maynila. Gusto nating talagang kasing apart siya with the private hospitals, and then we're building another one in Baseco, another hospital, and of course, we're still trying to put the numbers of COVID down in the city. Good news is, nasa 20 na lang siya. So that's about it. Pero we're still preparing for a possible surge because of another report of another variant of COVID. So that's about it.
Okay. Ma'am, you, of course, you are going to continue a lot of the programs of Isko Moreno, but I'd like to ask you as well, what would make you different from Isko Moreno? What would mark you sa Hani Lacuna, Mayor Hani Lacuna?
Probably the approach. Kasi all the programs and projects that we started naman are very good programs and projects. Siguro yung approach na lang will be different. And meron din naman akong mga projects na on top of mind na talagang close to my heart, more of social services. I was thinking kasi there's a lot of street dwellers in the city of Manila, particularly in the area of Ermita and near Luneta. I was thinking of building a shelter for them, or what we call a halfway home, parang kagaya po nung sa US, na meron po silang masisilungan pagdating ng gabi, meron silang hot meal, tapos doon po sila pwedeng freshen up, and then pagdating po sa umaga, aalis na po sila. Yun po. And another one is to build an office for our senior citizens. Kasi po yung office po namin sa City Hall for our senior citizens ay talagang maliit na po. It could not accommodate 178,000 of our senior citizens. Para po nakahiwalay na po sila, mas matuunan po yung mga projects namin sa kanila. Lalong-lalo na po ngayon na meron po kaming binibigay na allowances for our seniors. And then yung napakatagal na po na Hall of Justice para po sa City of Manila. Sana po mabuild na. And of course, a lot more of super health centers so that we could decongest our hospitals.
Mm-hmm. Ma'am, saan
You will be
nilalagay?
the first female mayor of the city, no? How can a woman make a difference? Meron ba diyang female touch?
Probably it's the approach. Kasi siguro mas, they say baka mas malambot ako, pero definitely not. Women are known to be multitaskers. And siguro yung approach ng isang mother, and makakatulong din naman yung pagiging doctor ko. Yun na nga ang pinaka-tagline ko po, Ma'am Amy, yung pagmamahal ng isang ina at pagmamalasakit ng isang doktora. So, syempre pag lalaki po medyo mas strong ang approach nila sa mga bagay-bagay. Siguro ngayon ang Manila po is ready na para sa isa namang nanay.
Ma'am, nung
How
panahon
about
namin, nung panahon namin ni Ami, yung mga courtrooms nandyan sa City Hall. I don't know if it's
Yes.
changed since then eh.
Opo.
Hanggang ngayon ba nandyan pa rin?
Opo, hanggang ngayon po nandito pa rin
O
eh.
saan niyo balak ilipat kung magtatayo ka ng Hall of Justice? Is there
Meron
any
na po
space
kasing
around?
meron na po kasing area dati, yung dati pong High Alay.
Oh, yeah.
Po
Sa
sa
Taft.
may Taft, yun po yung dati talagang lugar sana kung saan iaano yung Hall of Justice. Pero meron din po kasing area dito na malapit lang sa City Hall, yung PVAO, yung Philippine Veterans Office. Probably we could also tap that area para sa ating Hall of Justice po.
Yan mo yung sa may Ross Boulevard, Bonifacio, Pivao, yung ba yung malapit sa
Sa may katabi lang po ng City Hall, sa may Arroceros din po.
okay. Okay.
How are the city's finances? Kasi, syempre, after 2 years of pandemya, no, kulang yung collections from taxes, all the fees. Although mas malaki yung share niya ngayon under the Mandanas ruling, even the national government has little to share. Ano? Kumusta yung finances?
So far naman po, okay naman po ang finances po ng City of Manila. In fact, malaki nga po yung natulong ng Mandanas ruling kasi from 3.7 po na IRA na pumapasok po sa City of Manila, ngayon po nadagdagan po ng another 1.2 billion. So that's roughly around 5 billion na po. So since very transparent naman po ang City of Manila, maganda naman po ang pasok ng income sa city. Mas marami po kami na-encourage na new businesses to open. Pero I guess hindi pa rin po yun sapat because of the pandemic. 2 years din po yun. But since they saw yung talagang very transparent and everything is online na halos ngayon sa City of Manila, a lot of these businesses have been encouraged to go back to the City of Manila.
Kasama ba dyan yung kasi napapansin ko, I work in Manila and I used to live there. I was born there. At mukhang nare-revive yung red light district in the Ermita area. May balak ba kayong i-revive yung area yon or merong urban renewal program in any part of the city?
Definitely yung urban renewal program po. Kasama po kasi yan sa 10-year plan po na ginawa namin ni Yorme Isko. Napadali nga lang yung 10-year plan, naging 2.5. Marami na po kami nagawa. Pero yung red light district po sa may Ermita, not that I know of, hindi ko pa naman napapansin po na nare-revive na po siya. But titingnan po natin kung yung nabanggit po nyo ay totoo po.
That's interesting. Yung dati kasi I remember yung mga ganung establishments naglipatan sa Pasay City
Yes.
for a while eh.
Opo.
Pero bumalik sila eh.
Wala pa naman po ako napapansin, Ma'am Amy. But titingnan po natin kung ano po yung binabanggit niyo po.
Ma'am, you've also mentioned, at least in some other interviews, that you're pushing for digitalization.
Yes.
Of,
Actually, we
of
started na.
transactions.
We have the Go Manila app. Matagal na po yun nung start pa po ng pandemic. Na-start na po natin yung Go Manila app na doon na po nila gagawin lahat ng mga business transactions nila sa City of Manila. Yung mga health certificates natin, yung payment of taxes, real estate taxes and everything. Tapos, as you all know na meron na po tayong no contact apprehension. So, most of our transactions in the City of Manila are already online.
This is for transparency purposes, I suppose. This
Yes,
lessens
yes.
minimizes the
Correct.
human element in
Yes.
in transactions.
Opo. Human discretion po.
Human
Opo,
discretion.
mabawasan po. Malaki-laki na rin po ang nababawas doon. Although hindi pa naman po talaga totally nawawala, pero paunti-unti na po siya nawawala.
Yung campaign ni Mayor Isko, it suffered from the controversy. Well, it was affected by the controversy over the sale of the Divisoria public market. Do you have any particular thoughts on this, itong issue na to?
Actually, ma'am, I've already discussed this sa mga previous forums na yung sale po ng Divisoria, yung Divisoria market po kasi has not been under our care. Wala na po siya sa amin to start with. Privatized na po siya since 1972, if I'm not mistaken, under the administration of former Mayor Mel Lopez. So it was leased for 25 years in the amount of 20 pesos per square meter. So if you could imagine, ma'am, ang pumapasok lang po na funds doon na nanggagaling sa Divisoria market ay napakaliit po. In fact, in the span of 25 years, 57 million lang po ang nakolekt namin. So, talong-talo po ang city doon. So ngayon pong pandemic, since kailangan po natin na devolve nga po yung tayo na po ang local government na po ang pinamahala ng national government para matugunan po yung pandemic, we had to look for underused na mga properties ng City of Manila, and Divisoria Market was one of them.
Meron ba kayong binabalak na program for vendors? Kasi, well, yung ibang nagpo-protesta, of course, are the vendors.
Actually, ma'am, wala naman na-displace na vendors because nandun po sa contract, ang may kolatilya po doon na as is where is po. Kung sino po yung mga nasa loob ng Divisoria Market, sila pa rin po yung mananatili doon sa loob. Kasama po yun doon sa contract ng sale. It's so sad lang po na pati po yung mga vendors, siguro it was not explained to them. They were used during the campaign. Hindi po sinabi sa kanila ang totoo na hindi naman po sila maapektuhan talaga.
Okay.
Ma'am, cambio lang ako ng konti. I'll go into politics naman. In deciding to run for the presidency, Yorme, of course, abbreviated kahit papano his potential term as Mayor of Manila. Kumbaga, naka-isang term lang siya bale. Yun nga, of course, I suppose his assumption was that he was going to bag Malacanang, and that didn't pan out. Of course, I know it's a little bit too early. Papasok pa lang yung first term. Pero I'm wondering lang how it will turn out in 2025, 3 years from now. Again, I know it just might be a little too early, but I also want to know your thoughts about this and if there's been any discussion about this between you and Yorme.
Actually, we just had dinner last night, and talaga pong ang tawag niya po sa sarili niya is Citizen Isko. So he has no plans naman sa 2022. We have never really discussed about anything. As of now po talaga nagpapahinga lang po si Yorme Isko, and he's back sa City Hall doing his normal routine. Araw-araw po siya pumapasok, taking care of the city. Yun po ang ginagawa niya ngayon. So no mention, no talks about future plans po talaga.
Yes, ma'am. But have you talked about any potential role for Yorme in your administration, whether on an advisory role or whatever? Of course, after the 1-year ban on appointments.
Yeah, definitely po. Definitely po. He's the chairman of our local party. So he will always be there as our advisor po.
Ma'am, nabanggit kanina ni Edjong yung father nyo. Nakilala ko rin dahil nag-cover din ako ng City Hall. How is he doing? Kasi nag-viral yung video niya. He had an emotional meeting during the elections, no? Kumusta na siya?
My father has been wheelchair-borne since 2016. The first time I ran for vice mayor, nagkaroon po siya ng major stroke. So, yun lang po nakakalungkot kasi hindi na po niya alam na may anak na po siya na naging mayor. Opo. So, medyo malaki na po ang lapses niya. So, hopefully nung the time na proclaim ako, I was really hoping na he would understand. So, I was whispering to him na, Daddy, may anak ka na mayor, natupad natin. He was just smiling. So parang ako iniisip ko yun na yun eh. Sana naintindihan niya. Opo.
And you haven't had the chance to bring it up again. I'm sorry. It's such a colorful story. I mean, have you had the chance since then to bring it up and see if it struck a chord with Danny Lacuna?
Well, every day kasi I visit him because I live near his house. I always tell him, minsan he would just scratch his head, minsan he would smile. Ganun lang po, very, I hope po talaga na naiintindihan niya. Yun lang naman po talaga ang gusto ko eh. Kasi it has been his dream before na siya po yung he ran twice and he lost. So, parang parang vindication na rin kasi they were always saying na ang Lacuna pang vice mayor na lang. So, I was really hoping and I'm still hoping na he would understand. Hopefully, someday. Opo.
Mayor, it's been a very divisive campaign. Anong message niyo sa mga Manileño?
Una-una po sa mga Batang Maynila, maraming salamat po sa lahat ng tulong niyo sa akin, sa pagmamahal. Pero isang araw lang po ang eleksyon at tapos na po ito. Magsama-sama po tayong lahat. Sana po para lalo natin mapaganda ulit, maibalik natin yung dating ningning ng lungsod ng Maynila, being the capital of the Philippines.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Mayor Honey Lacuna. Thank you for joining us at
Maraming
Info
salamat
Parate.
po.
And
Thank you, Mayor.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am. Please
Thank
stay
you.
with us. Cheese, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Chiefs on One News. And now joining us is Cristina Frasco, Mayor of Liloan City and the spokesperson of Davao City Mayor and incoming Vice President Sara Duterte Carpio. Good evening, Mayor Frasco, and welcome back to the Chiefs.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, maayong gabi.
Maayong gabi. Ma'am, I'll start up with this. Of course, before the elections, we understand that Mayor Sara Duterte had already expressed his interest in Department of National Defense kung sakaling manalo yung tandem. So there was a bit of confusion earlier this week nung in-announce na DepEd pala yung mapupunta ni incoming VP Sara Duterte. Could you give us some what happened there? Anong nangyari po dun sa sa parang biglang nagbago?
Yes, it's true. It had been discussed between President-elect Bongbong Marcos and Vice President-elect Sara Duterte, the matter of the Department of National Defense prior to the campaign.
Yes, ma'am.
However, when they had discussions again after the elections, it was decided that VP-elect Sara would take the helm of the Department of Education, and this is a department that she welcomes very well, considering her vast local chief executive experience, being a mayor and chairman of the local school board of Davao for many years, and having a keen knowledge of the real world challenges faced by our schools, our students, and our parents.
Yes, ma'am. Although I was wondering, ma'am, in that meeting, did the Mayor Sara Duterte, again express interest in the DND, or she just left it open-ended for whatever would be offered to her in terms of positions?
To my knowledge, the agreement between the President-elect and the Vice President-elect is that VP-elect Sara Duterte would take the helm of the Department of Education.
Well, today she was reported to have said that she wants our youth to be patriotic and disciplined. And this brought up what she said during the campaign, that she wants to make military service mandatory. Is that related to her plan, her statement? Is she going to push through with mandatory military service?
First of all, patriotism and discipline are certainly virtues that we would wish to inculcate on our youth for them to become responsible citizens of our country who would want to contribute rather than destroy the future of the Philippines. Secondly, considering that VP-elect Sara Duterte is yet to be proclaimed and yet to be officially appointed by the President-elect, there has been no discussion at all on any policy directions of the Department of Education. All of these discussions, policies, specifics will be had post-proclamation.
Mm-hmm. But she is still interested in that proposal, her proposal, to make military service mandatory.
VP-elect Sara has expressed this in the past, but as of late, there have not yet been any policy discussions under the Department of Education pending her proclamation.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in a previous interview, of course, several months ago, or perhaps even a year ago, Bongbong Marcos said that he wants to correct what he calls mistakes or lies in some of the history books. I'm wondering if there's been any discussion as to what specifically he was referring to, and moving forward, whether or not DepEd is going to go into this.
There has been no discussion on this matter, to my knowledge. And again, to reiterate, any policy directions will be had post-proclamation. In any event, being very patriotic herself, Vice President Sara Duterte will of course ensure that our school children will receive quality education in all subjects and be very well versed in both their responsibilities and their rights as Filipinos under our Constitution and being citizens of our country. And that includes knowledge of our history, as well as a keen interest on where our country should be headed under the principle of unity.
One of our biggest supporters, Congressman Salceda, said that it might be better for her to take the DSWD portfolio. What do you think of that?
I'm sorry, you got cut off. Can you kindly repeat the question?
Congressman Salceda, who is a staunch supporter of VP Sara, said in an interview that it might be better for her to take the DSWD portfolio. What do you think of that?
Well, first of all, the discretion and the power to appoint persons to cabinet positions, including the vice president, is solely within the office of the president. And the vice president is very respectful of this fact, which is why she is very grateful to President-elect Bongbong Marcos for the offer for her to take the helm of the Department of Education. Now, to her knowledge of social welfare, it is born out of her vast experience as a local chief executive. So certainly there is no question about her capabilities to handle that department. However, that is a hypothetical speculation. And therefore, what we should focus on is the offer which has been accepted for Vice President-elect Sara Duterte to become the next Secretary of Education.
Would you have any idea of even one specific program or project that she intends to give priority in once she assumes the education portfolio?
Again, to reiterate, the specifics will be discussed post-proclamation. But from my personal knowledge of the work that Vice President-elect Sara Duterte has done in Davao, she has given vast and relentless support for the education of the youth by way of scholarship programs that have given thousands of school children in Davao opportunities to have a better life through the path of education. These include giving financial assistance to children of drivers from the transport sector, as well as tertiary education scholarships to thousands of students from Davao. So she has certainly been a very staunch supporter of education. Not only that, as mayor of Davao City, she has also prioritized the building of classrooms and school buildings that have resulted in more opportunities for school children to have good facilities as far as educational institutions is concerned. And as a mayor, being keenly aware of what are the local challenges faced by students, parents, and teachers, as I've mentioned before, I anticipate that her type of governance will be action and solution oriented versus being purely theoretical. I imagine that she will ensure that her performance will be very well reflected in the improvement of the standing of our students, both nationally and globally, as far as key subjects are concerned.
Ma'am, of course, we do understand what you're saying, that you cannot make any policy declarations yet for the DepEd until a cabinet has been formed and until she has officially assumed her role as DepEd secretary. Be that as it may, let me just try to reframe Ami's question. At this particular point, I suppose that Mayor Sara Duterte has certain issues that are close to her heart as far as education is concerned. I think you already mentioned one of them, which is scholarships. But aside from that, what other issues are close to her heart in terms of education that she may be interested in pursuing or pushing harder in the DepEd?
In Vice President elect Sara Duterte's most recent remarks, giving thanks to all of her supporters, she has also reiterated that she does intend to address current challenges facing the Department of Education and to transform the department to make it responsive to current times. In addition to that, that she's very interested in having the department mold our children into patriotic and disciplined individuals who love their country and who would wish to contribute to our country. At this point, prior to the proclamation, and as there has yet been no transition process, considering that Vice President-elect Sara is yet to be officially appointed, that is really the extent. And that is the most appropriate position to take as far as not demanding any policy directions yet prior to the proclamation and prior to the official appointment.
Mayor Sara has had interesting relations with her father, no? Have they talked recently since the election, and how are the father and daughter doing right now?
All family relations are interesting, whether it's father or daughter, or mother or daughter, or brother or sister. And as I know, the president in his remarks prior to the elections were that he is very supportive of the candidacy of Vice President-elect Sara Duterte. However, I'm not aware if they have had any recent conversations, and that's the extent of my knowledge in that regard.
Okay, ma'am, let me ask about her role naman as the incoming vice president. What do you think would make, how do you think she would make her mark as the vice president? What would make her stand out among other vice presidents, among other things?
Vice President Sara Duterte comes in with a very, very strong and vast executive experience, having been mayor of the progressive and peaceful city of Davao for many years. And this knowledge and experience that she brings with her will certainly contribute greatly to the administration of President-elect Bongbong Marcos, in that she's very well versed in all aspects of governance. Considering as well her type of leadership, her leadership style, I anticipate that she will be a very visible and a hardworking vice president that prefers to be at the forefront of issues and challenges that our people face. She has also expressed during the campaign trail that to her mind, there are certain priorities that need to be addressed and that would greatly help our fellow Filipinos. First, that livelihood and employment that was lost during the pandemic and throughout the various calamities and crises that our nation has faced would be given back to the people, in that employment opportunities would be given to them. Secondly, that the quality of education be addressed as far as improving the same, and that our people be given opportunities for both education and basic skills training, as these are the pillars for ensuring that they are able to obtain gainful livelihood. Third, that our fellow Filipinos be given an opportunity to live peacefully in our nation. And that is why, to her mind, in agreement also with President-elect Bongbong Marcos, it's very important to continue the successful programs on anti-criminality implemented during the Duterte administration, as well as to continue and to build on the gains of the Build, Build, Build program of the Duterte administration, so that we can see improvement in the quality of life of our kababayans through the upliftment of the provision of basic public infrastructure.
Ma'am, the Marcos camp is calling for reconciliation with rivals in the presidential race. And I heard Mayor Sara also urging her supporters to reach out to everyone for unity. You're a mayor of your own town, Liloan City. How are you translating this as a local executive? How are you translating this call for unity?
Well, first of all, we can see that both President-elect Bongbong Marcos and Vice President-elect Sara Duterte are consistent in their message and call for unity prior to the elections and post-elections, as really this is what they consider to be the first step to healing and recovery in our country amidst all the challenges that we face. Locally, we have adopted this message of unity even prior to the elections, and especially more so now, wherein what we see, at least in Cebu, is that all elected officials, the incumbent officials, have gone back to work, gone back to serving the people, no matter their political inclinations or no matter who they voted for in the past. Personally, for me as mayor of Liloan, that has been my principle: inclusive governance, to ensure that we serve everyone, that no one is left behind in the provision of government services, that we are
Ma'am, pahabol na ako.
able to help our constituents,
Okay.
their political position.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, pahabol na lang po ako. What's going to happen po once Mayor Sara assumes her position as Vice President? Will you still remain the spokesman? Will you go full-time, in other words, full-time spokesman? Or will she have a different set of people?
Well, I'm always here to support Vice President-elect Sara Duterte in any way, and I'm certainly at her disposal, and I leave it to her discretion. Meanwhile, I've been elected to my third term as mayor of the municipality of Liloan, for which I'm very grateful, and I look forward to continuing to serve the people of Liloan.
I'm afraid we're losing the connection.
Naglalak.
Yeah, I'm afraid we lost the connection already.
Akala ko screen lang
Mayor
to.
Frasco, are you still there?
Okay,
Mayor,
yan,
Mayor
okay
Frasco,
na.
I'm
Okay
sorry.
na.
I'm afraid we lost you. We lost you just as you were answering, so we didn't get your answer. If you don't mind po, can we repeat the answer po? So are you going to be the spokesman pa rin of VP Sara?
Na hindi kaya narinig. Mayor?
Ma'am,
Can you hear me?
Us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you.
Yes. Ed wants to know if you will remain the spokesperson of Mayor Sara.
yes, ma'am. I'm
once
sorry,
she
naputol
assumes
kanina
the
po.
vice presidency.
Naputol kanina yung sagot niya, so hindi namin, wala pong
Ayan.
nakarating sa amin.
Kasi. Yes.
It's all right. As I mentioned before, I'm always here to support Vice President-elect Sara Duterte in any capacity. While no discussion of transition has been discussed, considering that she has not yet been proclaimed, as of now, I continue to be her spokesperson, even as I have been elected to my third term, for which I'm very grateful. I look forward to serving the people of Liloan with the same vigor and dedication, and at the same time continuing to help Vice President-elect Sara Duterte in any capacity that she sees fit.
Ma'am,
Okay.
Manila had just elected its first female mayor. I'll ask you a similar question I asked kanina. What do women bring into governance?
Well, as women, we have an inherent sense of nurturing and compassion for people. And I believe that what is initially seen as weakness is actually a core strength, in that we have the instinct to always try to make sure that the people that we're taking care of are protected at all times. And this has certainly been my guiding principle as a woman and as a mayor, to make sure that the general welfare of the people that I serve are always paramount and upheld. For Vice President-elect Sara Duterte, she brings with her not only her experience, her knowledge, as well as her passion to serve, but also the strength of spirit as a woman in service who possesses the necessary compassion to ensure that she continues to help the Filipino people rise from the challenges that they currently face.
In your first term as mayor, do you have any new priorities, new programs that you intend to pursue?
My number one priority in Loan is education. We now have over 7,500 scholars, and this makes this one of the biggest scholarship programs in the country. I certainly intend to continue this. We also intend to continue our social welfare programs that have given a lot of social protection to our people. We have some very big ticket infrastructure projects that we are implementing. First, we're building our city hall. Second, we're building a 3-hectare park for our people. We have completed and will be starting to operate our new Liloan Port.
Nawala uli, and
Also be building our new hospital, adding new road networks to and from, bring more employment opportunities for our people.
Okay. Liloan Mayor Cristina Frasco, also the spokesperson of incoming VP Sara Duterte. Ma'am, maraming salamat for joining us tonight at ingat po parate.
thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much for having me. Daghan kayong salamat.
Thank you po. Well, Ami, it's the weekend coming up. What was your
Yes.
what's your top story for tomorrow? What's your headline or your banner?
Hindi naman yung UP, no?
Ilan na
Maraming
makakaglit dun
malalaki
eh.
istorya, yung mga new appointments, yung DILG,
Yeah.
si Ben
Ben Hurabalos
Abalos.
as Interior
Diba?
Secretary.
Oo, at may Omicron na daw dito sa Manila, dalawa, Omicron subvariant.
Yeah.
Maraming mga and well, yun na nga, yung mga calls for unity.
Yeah.
Maraming
You know,
malalaki istorya.
Ben Hur's appointment is interesting and fascinating considering, well, of course, he was the campaign manager for 2022, also the campaign manager
Yes.
of Bongbong Marcos for the 2016 vice presidential race. But
Yes.
as well, I suppose it's also interesting to point out that he and his family, I'm talking, of course, about Benjamin Abalos Sr., were anti-Marcos before. In fact,
Yes.
in one speech, Ben Hur even mentioned that his whole family, including his father, were in EDSA 1. And that his father was appointed OIC mayor of the then municipality of Mandaluyong before running for and bagging the mayoralty post in 1987.
Yes, well, we have marami namang ganyan mga grupo ngayon. We have realignments over 36 years.
Yes.
Kaya
Okay. Anyway, so happy weekend na lang tayo.
happy weekend.
Happy weekend na lang. Okay. We'll see
Yes.
you again on Monday. That'll be all for this edition of The Chiefs. We hope to discuss here. We'll keep the conversation going. Now, before we go, reminder to our viewers, mask on, wash hands, stay safe, Philippines. I'm Edlin Gao.
I'm Mami Paminton of the Philippine Star, and we are One News.